Good morning again to us here in Berlin, but also good afternoon and good evening to everyone joining us online from around the world. Welcome back. I hope you've had a refreshing coffee break, giving your smiling muscles a bit of a break from all the photos. And of course, I trust you've reconnected and networked either here in the room or also through the lively chat online. And I've been just informed that we have around 250 people already joining us and more are coming. So that's fantastic. And it shows how relevant the discussion we have here today is to the TVET community across the world. My name is Katharina Engel, and I'm the coordinator of the Towards a Global TVET Agenda initiative at the BIBB, the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training in Bonn. We now move to the second part of our program. We will have 4 sessions, 2 before lunch and 2 after, showcasing the contributions of each partner organization to this initiative. After our morning discussion on the global context and the need for a global TVET agenda, you will now see the concrete actions our multilateral partners are taking together. Reflecting shared priorities, the initiative has 4 focus areas. You can think of these focus areas as spaces for collaboration, where each partner contributes their own projects, but open to working together. I will announce the focus areas now in the order in which we will see the presentations that will follow. The focus area Global and Regional TVET Innovations, led by ILO, focuses on capacity building for future-ready TVET policy making, engaging social partners and promoting work-based learning. The second focus area here on the slide, TVET data reporting, led by OECD, concentrates on improving TVET data collection and analysis, and skill strategy development. The third focus area here on the screen, Partnership for Excellence, led by the European Training Foundation, ETF, is all about learning from diverse models of vocational excellence and building a shared understanding across contexts. And finally, the Global Fora for Knowledge Sharing and Innovation, led by UNESCO-UNEVOC, is visibly in action today. This focus area is about the partners collaborating through visible joint events, like the Global TVET Forum, as well as peer learning and TVET knowledge products. In this spirit of collaboration, the 4 partners, ILO, OECD, ETF, and UNESCO-UNEVOC, have designed the interactive sessions that will now follow, and that means that you can get ready to not just listen, but also to share your comments and explore the synergies with your own work. That's for you here in the room, but also to all of us joining us online. And now, without much further ado, let me hand over to Dr. Ashwani Aggarwal, the Global Work Group Leader at ILO, for the first session on ILO's Strategic Skills Partnership under the initiative Towards a Global TVET Agenda.
Thank you very much, Katharina. I hope this mic is working. Is it okay? Thank you very much. I will continue from my previous opening statement, where we discuss some of the critical challenges which TVET systems, particularly in the low and middle income countries, are facing. The focus will be on low middle income countries situation on this one. So our intention in this session will go in some in-depth discussion to analyze some of the causes, root causes of the problem, also understand from your perspective, from every perspective, what policies and interventions are working well and where the gaps are there. So those gaps will also help us to note and develop some new knowledge under this program. So our intervention is quite open at this stage because I will explain that one. So we will take your inputs also. We'll have some other focus group discussion with other stakeholders that will decide also the precise nature of content that will be developing as part of it. Broadly, as Katharina has mentioned, the focus is how to better involve and engage social partners and private sector together with the policymakers in the whole process. But before that one, I'll make slightly a brief presentation on what ILO is doing and what ILO is doing in this regard. And then we'll go for a small panel discussion also. ILO, perhaps some of you know, but normally I find not everyone knows also. ILO is a United Nations specialized agency. It is specialized also because it's the only agency which is tripartite nature. We have 187 member countries which are member of the ILO, but uniqueness is that from each country we have not only the government representative, but also employers and workers represented together constitute the ILO. So they together decide any policy, any normative instruments they develop. We in the office, we support them. So if you see, so basically ILO mandate is more grounded in the international labor standards, which are the normative instrument, as Borjan mentioned in the morning also. These are again developed by you people only, means your representatives, government, employers and workers, they come together and develop these ones. And again, built on the tripartite foundation, supports particularly the work on the skills development, supports SDG 4, 5 and 8. And overall, ILO's mandate is to promote social justice and decent work for all. And as part of that, skills development is a very core component. What I mentioned is this one. Currently, we are supporting 70 countries around the world. We have interventions, we are supporting them. We have 61 projects, and during last 2 years, so far we have more than 800,000 people have benefited from these interventions. So I will just slightly mention about two major initiatives which have been come recently. One is the, I think morning sessions, two eminent speakers mentioned about the quality apprenticeship recommendation and also the ILO strategy for skills and lifelong learning. Again, as I mentioned, this is not a normative instrument, but it is based on a normative instrument developed by the countries together. They developed a conclusions on skills and lifelong learning and asked office to develop a strategy. So based on the content of those conclusions, this strategy was formulated. So as we were discussing since morning, that a lot of change in the world of work is taking place, which is impacting significantly the skills system and TVET system. So it requires transformation. So it acknowledges, the whole strategy is based on theory of change. So it acknowledges that for transforming national skills or TVET system, there needs to be 5 pillars, and these 5 pillars are: number 1 is improved policy, governance and financing, strengthened skills need intelligence, innovative flexible learning and program and pathways to promote lifelong learning. The next one is inclusiveness, promoting inclusiveness, and also a very strong focus on quality apprenticeship and work-based learning as part of it. Then the strategy also recommends an action plan for the ILO to support the countries. It also has 5 components, and these components are providing policy advice, technical capacity building support, carrying out research, knowledge management and dissemination, resource mobilization, because if you only provide the advice, you have to also carry out some demonstration projects to support the countries. Also normative standards, as I mentioned, and partnership, building partnership with other, not working in isolation, but working with other development partners, regional and global agencies together as one. Similarly, it is expected if all these things are implemented strategy as per this one, the countries will have 5 important outcomes as per the labor market, and these are: one is successful individual transitions to and within labor market, gender sensitivity and sensitive and inclusive approaches, just transition to digital and green economy, improved productivity and competitiveness of enterprises, and inclusive resilience, sustainable economies and societies. Today morning I was seeing the UNESCO-UNEVOC medium-term strategy. We can see there is a lot of synergy also between them also. So ultimately, if everything is there, it there contributes to the SDGs also, specifically 4, 5 and 8. Now I come to quality apprenticeship recommendations. Again, the background is that long back, I think 90 years ago or 80 years ago, in 1939, the member states developed the first apprenticeship recommendation. which was, you can see many of the countries, their acts, laws are based on that one. But subsequently, when new instruments on the skills development and vocational training were developed, these were subsequently, apprenticeship issue was subsequently lost. There was not clearly, prominently came recommendations were there, were lost. And as the, in the recent 1 decade, more and more emphasis was going again on the TVET system, making them more relevant, and accordingly the work-based learning and apprenticeships are becoming more important. So it was also considered important that, that while we have to promote quality apprenticeships, we have to also protect the apprentices, because in many countries, the apprentices are also not protected well. They are considered, sometimes they are used as cheap labor. So a comprehensive instrument is required, which, and the beauty of this instrument is not only talks about protection, it also talks about give recommendation, how governments can promote also apprenticeship, what kind of a conducive policy environment it can create for the enterprises to, and for the young persons to be, make the apprenticeship attractive to them. I'll not go into details of that one. Basically, it has 7 sections. I already showed the QR code. Those who are interested, they can always go. We can share later on also. So basically, it has sections. It defines the what is quality apprenticeship. It provides regulatory framework. This provides how the apprentices should be protected. It also talks about having an apprenticeship agreement and equality and diversity, promoting equality and diversity, and also how quality apprenticeship can be promoted. So it also provides accommodation and cooperation. With this one, now I'll come back to this particular project. What are the key intervention in this project is there? So basically, it has 2 components, outputs. One is a global one, which is a prominent one. So it talks about, as Katrina also mentioned, the focus will be how to engage social partners together with policy makers in promoting inclusive, resilient, and quality TVET systems. So there will be a TVET, global TVET policy guide, which not only describe the process in which a policy development process should take place, it will also cover, as I will be discussing, some of the existing gaps. Where the knowledge gaps are there, so there will be new knowledge on that one, and particularly also how to build the capacity of the social partners. So second component, and the Global Skills Policy Academy is more on the capacitation, and Global Skills Forum will be on more knowledge generation, more dissemination and management also. And then there will be a Africa regional component, where the details are on the empowering TVET and work-based learning in Africa. Now, I'm not going to details of this particular component because my colleague tomorrow in the parallel session, he will be going more details on both the global components and this one. But with this one, I'll now request our panelist, Mr. Philipp, Mr. Pablo, and Yorgos. Now, this one, what we'll do, we will focus on only 2 issues. As we were discussing the challenges, I will just mention the two issues, but again, it is open to all of you. You also participate, because we also want more focus from the responses from the countries coming from Africa, Asia, and Latin America also. But before that, I will request if you can launch an audience poll. We have only one question so that everyone feel engaged. You have come from all parts of the world. Okay, so you can use your mobiles to scan the QR code, and then you can answer. The question is, to what extent have policy reforms in your country resolved skills mismatches? When I am saying skills mismatching in the ILO, we consider skills mismatch as a very comprehensive term, which includes vertical and horizontal skills mismatch, skills shortages, and skills gap also. Because recently I observed sometimes people think skills mismatches is different than the gaps are different. So that's what I am explaining ILO's terminology on skills mismatch. So again, you saw, as I was saying in the morning, so, but though I can understand half of you may be from the developed countries. So I would also want to repeat again, very important point, think from the angle of low and middle income countries. Do not consider, because many of you are from Germany, do not think an answer from the Germany angle. So, my mistake, sorry, because when I designed that one and then I realized this one, that because focus of this one guide is on the low and middle income countries, otherwise all of you will say, fully resolved. So can we close? I think, okay, already we can see there. Okay, so majority of them, you are saying that some progress, reform have addressed certain mismatches, but gaps exist. I think that's enough. And 18 also saying limited progress is there. So of course, clearly, this is the ground reality, that not very significant impact has been made. So that's what we, under this program, we project, this newer project, we will go into more in depth. What are the root causes and what can be done? For example, we all know apprenticeship is a must basically. Is a must solution specifically for low and middle income countries. But it is a challenge to implement apprenticeship in those countries itself, because they don't have the resources to build huge training centers and everything. So for them, it's the best solution, but that best solution is not working in those countries. So we have to think about what can we make it work in those countries also. Similarly, national qualification frameworks. I'm giving some example. I'm not against those one. Don't say that tomorrow someone should stand up and say, no, why you are saying that one? It happened with me once. My own colleague later on, when working in Africa, I presented more animated one. So then he was in the headquarters. He said, okay, how can Ashwani, you can say NQF and apprenticeships are not working well? But point is that it's not working. When I'm saying not working means it's not to the scale we wanted. Hardly a few percent, 1 or 2% of students go through the apprenticeship in many countries, and mostly they go through informal apprenticeship. So that's what we will be discussing and debating the issues there. So you can stop this one slide, please. So I'll turn to our panelists, and also I can see we have Nicholas from Africa Union Commission, and also a notice from South Africa. A lady is also there, and other people. Please feel free, but always you have to speak in mic, because there are online participants are there. Unless you speak in mic, they will not listen to you. Now first go on the positive side. I'm sure there are many things are working also, and the response also said something has worked. In different contexts, different things has worked. So which policies have proven most effective in addressing skills mismatch? I'm saying again, is a comprehensive term. Don't look into narrow term. Any other panelists who like to say? Mr. Pablo. Oh no, okay. Jorges, you want to go? Please, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you here. I would like to ask my friend to translate me from Spanish to English. En Ecuador, y yo creo que en la región de Latinoamérica, hemos hecho grandes avances para poder impulsar la educación y formación técnica y tecnológica.
So we have made great progress in my country to promote technical education and school.
Hemos avanzado sobre todo en normativa, en regulación.
But the main focus has been to design the right policies and information.
Uno de los grandes avances ha sido el incluir a la formación técnica y tecnológica como parte del sistema de educación superior.
One of the major challenges has been to integrate TVETs into the higher education schemes.
Eso ha permitido a los jóvenes tener como opción el ingresar a una carrera técnica tecnológica con la esperanza de luego continuar sus estudios universitarios.
So that had given some youth the hope that when they integrate into one of those technical colleges, that they later can continue their studies at the university.
pero eso a su vez ha traído un problema y es de que la formación técnica y tecnológica queda hasta cierto punto invisibilizada por las carreras de grado que ofrecen las universidades.
But that has a disadvantage because mostly this technical education had been limited to those careers which later would be offered by universities.
Por lo tanto, el reto que tenemos es el de fortalecer a la formación técnica y tecnológica como un camino específico para poder generar competencias específicas para el mercado laboral.
So that is why we have to separate this technical education so that they should rather focus on being part in the competition and be competitive in the labor market.
Okay, I think it's a very important point. Just to give background, he's from Ecuador, which is a high middle income country. So naturally you see their focus, one of the primary focus is going on linking TVET system with the higher education also. Because typically the challenges in the low middle income countries and higher education, higher income countries are a bit different. Thank you very much for that one. Because of time shortage, I'll go quickly to Jorgos. We'd like to say, which policy, because you have been extensively working in the, so what you call some other countries also. So what is your experience?
Thank you, Ashwani, and all the best with the focus area you're coordinating. Well, ETF is working with 28 countries, immediately working with 28 countries which are in the EU neighborhood, and these are divided in four regions. And I think our assessment would be more or less of what people have said in this room, that there is significant progress. I think that's how I would interpret the poll. However, much to be done. I don't know if point number 5 is feasible in any way. If VET systems can be at any moment, on top of the request from the labor market side, probably that is not the case. Nobody said yes. So there is progress. VET is changing, and I think that's the positive message. When it comes to apprenticeships, 2 weeks ago, and Manuela Geleng mentioned it in her speech, we had the regional event of European Alliance for Apprenticeships in Montenegro, and we see a few things. First of all, there is a request from countries to join the alliance. This means that there is a need to be part of a bigger group that discusses developments, exchanges. So I think talking about gaps, there is a gap in knowledge and experiences there. The second point comes from the social partners who clearly said that don't look at us as traditional unions. Our role is not just that. We're there to help shape policies as well. And the moment, of course, they say that, and I think everybody would agree, the second question comes, but do you have the capacity to do so? And I think one point that maybe needs to be discovered is the capacity of the partners, social partners or businesses or other partners, VET provider associations, for example, to be part of this discussion. I think that is a fundamental question, and there is perhaps where the support is needed to help them to be on board. And the third point regarding apprenticeships was the notion of incentives, and what are the incentives needed to make apprenticeships happen, and of course there the discussion varies a lot from who do you talk to. So we see progress. We see the policies in the area of work-based learning. I think they have grown at EU level as well. If you look at back the statements in the Copenhagen process, back in the Bruges Declaration, then in Riga, then in Osnabrück, then now in Herning, you see a gradual sort of evolution of the work that is needed to happen in work-based learning in different forms. So the policy orientation is there and is growing. I think there is more work to happen on the ground.
Thank you very much. I think you raised a very important point that work-based learning or apprenticeship programs has to be strengthened very strongly. How to do that one? While when the ILO developed this recommendation, it was focused only on the like a dual German apprenticeship model, that only. Initially, the workers wanted to include internship also, but it was not considered feasible by the member states as well as employers for various reasons. But again, how to promote various forms of work-based learning, I think needs to be more strengthened. I think that we can take note of it also. We're not talking about here developing normative standard, but practical guidance on that one, how it can be, because still in the low middle income countries for a foreseeable future, for various reasons, depending on their economic conditions, because they have large informal economy, private sector is not well developed, or large industries are not there, many things which can support large scale dual apprenticeship models. We need to look into more models, different models, which can support various ways of work-based learning of the students who are going to training institutions, so that they have more and more relevant learning to the labor market needs. I think that needs to be done. I'll come with that one. I come to Philipp also, because he's master of dual apprenticeship in Germany. So what is your take on that one?
Thank you very much, Ashwani. I had the pleasure to be involved into a study with Ashwani and also with Isabelle Moyur, who is sitting in the audience, when I still was working for BIBB. Now I'm working for the university. But my interest had not changed. I'm still interested in work-based learning very much. And when I did this study with Ashwani and Isabelle, we found out that also in low and middle income countries, there are plenty of small and medium enterprises. So about more than half of the population in those countries is employed by small and medium enterprises. So they need to be specifically regarded probably, because they have other needs as opposed to bigger, larger enterprises. And what we also found is that in many cases, you can do best in terms of qualification systems, that what you have already addressed, but of course there will always remain kind of a skill gap. So skill gap is not necessarily only a negative thing, but it's also probably normal. And that's something that we have to be aware of, that you have companies, and in those companies you can organize work-based learning somehow, and that basically the idea behind this is to overcome skill gaps all the time. Entrepreneurial activity is basically overcoming skill gaps, because you want to explore new markets and so on. And so that's a point that I would like to make.
I think now, thanks for reminding of that study. The study which BIB was doing with us was focused on how to promote apprenticeship and work-based learning in the small and medium enterprises, but taking global perspective, not only this here. And it was a difficult challenge for the best, the consultant, the people, experts here, because not much knowledge about what is happening in the global south is available also, and what can work there. But still they did excellent job. But again, the point is that I think we have to work more on that area. That's noted. Now let's go beyond now apprenticeship or work-based learning. Let's think about some other things. Now I'll invite our colleagues from Africa, Nicholas and the lady from the she's okay. Will you like to say something about from your experience? What things has worked in Africa, or say South Africa, but you also do research in other countries, and where the gaps are there? What needs to be more knowledge, better knowledge needs to be developed, please?
Hi, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I am from South Africa. My name is Carla Pereira. So thank you for the opportunity. I think from the African standpoint, I don't think policy reform is the issue. There are enormous numbers of examples of policy reforms in South Africa. We know how to design. We have piloted very successful programs. The dual project implementation program a few years ago was an example of one. There are the Centers of Excellence projects, as well as the PSEC Cloud. And currently there's one with GIZ, which is the dual skills for jobs and income projects that's taking place. So the problem in Africa, and South Africa in particular, is that we fail to coordinate the successes into meaningful impact. We've got different agendas, different champions pushing for different projects or issues, and then it gets lost. So things just become a pilot with important lessons, but with no real true sustainable lessons to take forward. So what I think is needed is for a real champion, not just influencers, but a champion that can bring the different agendas, different politicians, different players together into the same room so that it's all under the same objective, the same agenda.
Thank you very much. Also, it reminds me, this year actually World Bank has also come into the capacity development. They have also developed Global Skills Policy Academy, which is going to be online module. So I had also a pleasure of contributing to that one, so few modules. And they did in Africa, the first Africa Skills Policy Academy, this beginning of this month. Very interestingly, one speaker, I will not name the country, she mentioned that we are very good in, we have developed 4 different policies in the skills area, TVET area, but he clearly blamed the implementers. She said, we are very good in developing policy, but implementers within my country are not implementing well. I'm not going to this debate, but this debate is important, that what is a good policy? Sometimes say, is it good we copy from, say, some other countries, developed country or something? Have we ever tested feasibility of that policy working in that country, in that particular country before approving the policy? It never happens. We never test. We only presume this policy seems to be good. For example, I give an example. Again, I will not name the country. In Africa only, they had a policy when they said all the TVET's college students, they made it mandatory. They must do apprenticeship. Means, okay, they call a mix of like a work-based, 1 year work-based attachment as apprenticeship model, made it compulsory. What happened? Many of the students, most of the students didn't able to find an attachment in the company, because the company, the country is low income country. The result is that because it was by the law, they must do 1 year apprenticeship, and since they couldn't find a place, they were not eligible even to appear in the examination and get assessment and certification. So this is an example I'm saying of the, seems to be a good policy, which is a good policy, but without doing a feasibility, you implement those things and then you blame the implementers. Sometimes maybe resources are not there. So I think this needs also debate, what is a good policy? And then again, very important point, we do not do much of the impact of the analysis of the things and spread that one story. Nicholas, I think I'm putting you on the spot. Where are you now? He's the senior advisor from the Africa Union Commission, most important person in Africa. So what is your experiences?
Thank you. I think one thing that we could do better and differently is to incentivize industry to engage more. This is one area where we could do better. The industry, particularly in most African countries, is still nascent. We also, as we build capacity of instructors, build capacity of teachers, we also need to build the capacity of industry to engage differently with regards to skills development in the continent. I think this is an area where we could also learn from those who have done it differently. Thank you.
Thank you. Very important point. That's why last week when we did our ILO's second Global Skills Forum, this year we focused on the private sector. Purely only on the private sector. There was a lot of pressure on us to cover every topic, but we focus on the private sector because this to us also is one of the most important reasons that skills systems still struggle. Now I'll invite someone, is there from Asia, is there in the audience? Because now we have someone from Latin America, Europe, Africa. Anyone representing Asia here? Yes, please. Will you like to take the floor?
Yes, good afternoon. Good morning. So,
can you introduce first yourself?
I'm from the Philippines. I represent Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. I am BAL. And in that relation, I just want to inform everyone that we have in the Philippines institutionalized the enterprise-based education and training, wherein, as mentioned a while ago, we give incentives to companies who participate. And we make sure that the training center will be the company itself. It's not an ordinary training center, but we make the learners actually practice what is being done in the industry or particular company. So that is one way of showing how important partnerships with companies are doing. And we are trying to adapt it as part of our ASEAN Tibet Council, because the region itself requires something like that, the collaboration with industry. Because we believe that a strong Tibet system requires collaboration, not only with industry, but also other government offices. I just want also to point out, which later I will discuss during the panel this afternoon, that we are trying to integrate the curriculum of TESDA to senior high school. In such a way, we can make the senior high school workforce ready and competent to indulge into work after graduation from senior high school. So we also initiated the higher education, as mentioned by our friend from Ecuador, partnership with the Commission on Higher Education and also the Department of Education, in as much as we want the three agencies in the Philippines engaged in training and education to work as one towards the production of a workforce-ready trainees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you know, our overall component is also global and regional innovations. We'll contact you to know about good practice in Philippines you have, what type of things are working to bring the industry more closer to their system. And we know that Philippines TESDA system is working quite well. So we'd like to learn more from you. Any other Asian country, maybe Sri Lanka? Okay, please go ahead. Mic is coming. Please, which country you are from?
Yes, it's very difficult to answer. Originally from Indonesia, but I'm working for CMU. I don't know whether some of you are familiar, which is the UNESCO of ASEAN.
Okay, wonderful.
It's easy to understand. So I'm working for CMU VocTech, which is CMU center focusing on TVET, basically. So we're working with 11 countries of ASEAN. So thank you, our colleague from Philippines, sharing in terms of basically how to address closing the gaps between supply and demands in the region. I think we have the initiative. One of them is about future jobs and skill forecasting. And we have done this, but not all countries can really follow that kind of guidance. I think only Singapore, because it's a small country and you're a very effective country in addressing it. So they came up with skill forecasting that's done every quarterly, so like 4 times a year. So that at the end, this can be used as an input for the TVET institutions, ITE as well as polytechnics, so that at the end become more responsive. But in other countries, number one, the data is still readily available. Normally, we just do mapping, what happened in the past, but the forecasting is not really happening. But I think this is something that we need to discuss.
Thank you very much. I think this is an important point. Now I see only nearly 3 minutes are left. We have heard from ASEAN region. South Asia, I think someone from Sri Lanka is also, Nepal is there. And after that, finally China. I think someone is from China is also here. So it's also interesting to know what China is doing. Only 1 minute, sir, please.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I am representing University of Vocational Technology, Sri Lanka. Actually, I accept all the challenges that mentioned by different persons, and some of the actions that we have been implementing, I would like to give 2-3 examples. One is the industry-based national competency standards and the curriculum, which they have linked at the 6 stages, the developing NCS, developing curriculum, validating curriculum, and on-the-job training, and industry-based placements. That is and also we have implemented industry bodies to certify the people. There are 15 industry bodies in different sectors. We have asked them to certify their informal sectors, informal workers within their industries. The other initiative is industry sector councils. We have come up with 7 industry sector councils and 2 committees for different industries to link the TVET with the industry. So we have been doing a lot of activities with these industry sector councils as well.
Thank you very much for bringing another good practice, developing a sector skills councils and through them building bridges. Now from China, I think he's there, sitting there, that side. Yeah. You have, sir, one last minute. You are the...
Okay, try to cut it short. Very good question. I have been struggling because in the past decades, Chinese government, Ministry of Education has both have issued a lot of national policies to encourage this kind of TVET talents training, collaborating with industries, enterprises, and encourage the integration between education and industry, encourage the traditional university with the TVET providers syncretic integration. And I remember clearly that the Chinese Ministry of Education has once implemented a strategy to encourage the selection of 100 top industry in different kind of sectors to cooperate with universities for the joint education and training for modern industry needed talents. Because as we learned from Germany that many of the German, the commercial sector and the industry commerce collaborate with university for the talent training, but in many Chinese companies, many of the engineers, they don't know how to educate talents. So we selected 100 top companies to cooperate with university. And now my university, Shenzhen Polytechnic University, has collaborated with the top industry from Shenzhen and from Pearl Delta River to set the joint training in Taipei. So for the review of the curriculum design, program design, and also to update the programs. Now we have accumulated some experience to try to match our talents, the skill development with the newly industrial needs, because due to the revolution of the digitalization, I think many of the shortage of Chinese universities have opportunity to trace and to keep updated and upgrade with the industry talent needs.
Thank you. Yes. I think what we'll do, I think this is not the end of our conversation. End of the session is there, definitely. But I think we'll continue through UNEVOC also. The speakers who have spoken, shared some good practices, we'd like to have more discussion with them, more details, why it has worked. For example, if China, if the industry is collaborating, what makes the industry motivate to collaborate? That is a key issue, We all know that they should collaborate, but what is in TESDA or China is working, but may not be working in some other country. But we'll come back to you, to all of you. But thank you very much for this interactive session. Thank you to all of you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you also to Ashwani for already having broadened our perspectives and broken up the stage structure here. So thank you again to this panel and to Ashwani for the contribution.